You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded February 17th, 2025.
And we're recording.
Well, try turning the gain down on your mic.
Why? Is it very loud?
It's just, yeah, it sounds like you're peaking. Guess what I had for dinner?
What?
Chicken Kiev.
Oh, how'd you spell that?
Mosko. W. No.
Art Spiegelman finally talking about Gaza about a year and a half later.
Yeah.
I was wondering about Art Spiegelman, like
Mouse.
what his thoughts on Gaza were forever. And then Zainab sent me an article where it was something about Art Spiegelman, and then they were like, but it was from ages ago. I don't know why she sent it to me. And then they were like, and he's got loads of opinions about Gaza. And then, as was demonstrated in an interview in another outlet, and I was like, great, you're going to make me go to another fucking outlet to try and find his opinions on
You're
Gaza.
gonna make me beg.
And so I found one interview in 2013 with Tablet magazine where Art Spiegelman, who's, if anybody doesn't know, the comic artist who wrote Mouse, the famous Holocaust
very problematic, if you ask me.
Mm.
He depicted all the Jews as rats.
Yeah, he picked all the Jews as rats and all the Germans as cats. And then,
as men.
But the one that people always took a bit of an issue with is that he depicted all of the Polish as pigs.
Yeah, or let me think. Here's another quiz for you. Who else? 6 million Jews, famously.
And he drew every one of them.
Each one more devious than the last. And then he did. So what did he do for the other animals? Or for the other people? So there's Jews, obviously.
Mice.
Mice. The well, they call them gypsies. I don't know what we call them.
God, he did. He did. You do remember that? Yeah, that he did actually include like a gypsy character.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, sorry, no, like
that.
There was a bit where like I forgot his mother said that she met a gypsy who read her fortune and told her something. So guess what creature the gypsy was actually.
I'm gonna say a rat is already so bad. You know what I mean? Was it a rat?
Well, it's a mouse. There was a mouse, and there was, no, not the gypsy or Roma or whatever. They're mice, but the mice thing is a reference to like something like can't remember something. I think he quotes Goebbels at the start where he's like only a Jew could create Mickey Mouse or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but there's meant to be like it's a bit more.
Each race is an animal. Each race is an animal.
Yeah. And yet Jews are mice, but Germans are cats.
So what are Roma?
There's only one that appears in it. The gypsy appears in it. And she's a moth.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not so bad.
The French are frogs. The Americans are dogs.
We're no Americans in the concentration camp.
Well, they don't spend all their time in the concentration camp.
Yeah, they were let out.
Yeah, every day, weekends.
What were the gay people? Gay.
Yeah, I know.
What animal were they?
Well, it's.
Huh?
No, they obviously they weren't a different animal or anything. But like, I just like, it is funny that like, I was like, we're talking about like the Holocaust. Okay, cool. There's one Roma person in it who is a gypsy who tells somebody's fortune. And then at one point, it's also the way that he uses the animals, because there was one point where like there was a guy who, God, what was his deal? He's like a mouse, but there's a bit where it turns out there's a guy who is a German man who's confused for a Jewish man, although obviously you can be German and Jewish, so it kind of breaks down even there. But there's a bit where like they show him like pleading for his life, and in one panel he's like a mouse and he's like, but I am a German, and then in the next panel he looks like he's a cat. He transitioned into a cat. They were having all these the litter trays there. Forget about it.
Yeah, he came right from the school,
Yeah.
He was like, I'm a student. What were the intellectually disabled? What sort of
yeah.
animal?
No, the only ones who got like everybody, all of the nationalities were an animal, and then the only ethnic, or maybe you could say like minority group that were allowed to have their own unique animal were the Jews. Okay.
And the Roma. He's a moth. You just said he was a moth.
Yeah, but I didn't think that they were. I thought they were like their own thing. I didn't think that they were like,
Oh, sorry. But you said the only ethnic minority that got its own animal was the Jews.
Yeah, because like it'd be like, oh, you're Polish, and then you could be a mouse, or you're German and you could be a mouse if you're Jewish. Okay.
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it like a mouse with no eyes and no tail?
And what would that be? What is that meant to be?
I get the same look. Okay,
all right. I don't know.
There's no whiskers.
The mouse with a wheelchair. So, like,
Yeah, it's a mouse with 8 legs.
Yeah. We're not going back. We're not fucking going back there.
Guess where he's from? They're like, how'd you get it? How'd you get here?
But yeah, like Art Spiegelman from 2013, he's been interviewed by Tablet magazine, and then he's asked about, they end up talking about Gaza, and he kind of is like, my thoughts on Gaza, and then he just kind of goes like, he kind of chickens out, and he starts to describe a cartoon that he one time tried to do to depict his feelings about what Gaza was, the whole thing about Israel. And what it was a
bunch of mice.
Well, I mean, because it was referencing like there was a bit in Mouse where there's like a mice behind chain link fence, and there's Nazi guards. The cats are there next to them, and he was going to do that, but with like all of them are mice. Okay, and the idea was meant to be like, oh, it's the victims. Victimizing,
they can't all be mice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You have to make a choice. There are mice.
Look it up. Maybe I have it wrong.
No, I believe you. I'm just saying, conceptually, they can't all be mice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, might as well make the Nazis mice.
Palestine, where are you at? But there was a close-up based on the same famous Life magazine photo that was at the start of the 3-page Palestinians behind barbed wire wearing Jewish stars. In front of the barbed wire was an Israeli soldier with his gun and also with a Jewish star. And he's also behind the barbed wire and looking mournful as well. And the implication of it are unbearable for a lot of people. It makes their heads explode still. That image was all I could say, because it was fortunate enough for my parents went to the right rather than to the left in that line, and they ended up here, and so I don't have to bear the burdens directly of Israel's culture. So that image just has to do with the fact that it's victims victimizing each other. Damn it, here we go again, and there's a responsibility that Israel doesn't live up to, and it drives me crazy. And
who's behind the barbed wire?
The Palestinians,
and they're wearing Stars of David.
Yeah.
Why are they doing that?
Well, he's referencing a Life magazine cover. So I was completely wrong about the mice. Put that out of your head. because what he did in an issue of Mouse is he took a picture of that. He referenced a real picture from Life magazine of Jews in the concentration camp, and he drew it with mice. His signature Art Spiegelman mouse character.
Signature mouse.
And then he was going to do a cover for, what was it, New Yorker magazine? I don't know if that was it. There was some magazine he was going to do a cover for. And they were like, he was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And, might be pretty edgy and pretty out there. And what it was going to be is that it's like that Life magazine cover, except it's the Israelis are now they're kind of like the Nazis, but really they're also the victims, and we're all victims victimizing each other, And when will this old dang war end? When is this crazy? I was just kind of it's just it's just a very frustrating thing. It's a big shrug. It's a big kind of I'm trying to avoid having an opinion, and here's what I say: hey, they're all as bad as each other. Anyway, I'm going to move on and not talk about it. And I can't even say what I think. I'm going to describe a drawing that I was going to do and then didn't do.
Yeah. What animal eats cats? An octopus?
Dogs?
Yeah.
The Americans were the dogs.
Who are the octopus?
Japanese? I don't know. I think there was an octopus or something. Who were the Japanese in that? I remember the Danish were deer.
Weird. The Danish should have been. What do they eat? Slugs.
Maybe they were Norwegian. I can't remember. The Jews are mice. The Germans are cats. The non-Jewish Americans are dogs. The Poles are pigs. The French are frogs. The Swedes are reindeer. Swedes. The British are fish, and the gypsies are gypsy moths.
Why are the English fish?
I have no idea.
They should be bulldogs.
Yeah. A different type of dog. I guess he'd already used dogs.
Okay, well then this should be...
parakeets.
Why a parakeet?
You can see a lot of them around the place here. Apparently the Victorians used to keep parakeets and then they all just escaped.
The ones from fucking Ealing should be parakeets.
Well, apparently it's all over London.
Oh.
But, yeah, I mean, it is very London-centric. It's just a very posh bird. That's what I thought.
Yeah, posh bird. Who are we talking about?
Vogue Williams?
Who's it? Yeah. Yeah.
All right. But anyway, Joe Sacco wrote the comic Palestine, and he wrote a load about Palestine, and they're very.
What animals were there in that one? What animals were the Palestinians?
Yeah. So he's been writing a series of comics about what's been going on for the Comics Journal, and they are savage, and they are very critical of the Biden administration and just despairing about what's happening in Gaza.
Even-handed, right?
And yeah, well, this is so they had a collab comic with Spiegelman and Sacco, and so then I was like, okay, great. I finally get to know what Spiegelman thinks. And the whole thing was so frustrating because he just deflects throughout the whole thing. Joe Sacco appears as himself in the comic. Spiegelman appears as his mouse character. And then he goes yeah. So then Sacco asks Spiegelman, well, would you call it a genocide? And he's like, well, I didn't call it a genocide in the past, but I've had to update my vocabulary. And then he goes, okay, well, would you call it one now? And then he kind of goes, well, whatever it is, it's not a Holocaust. Because I hate the word Holocaust. Because Holocaust, and he goes off about the etymology of the Holocaust word. And I was like, okay, you didn't answer the question at all. And then he's like, God, it's just people. It's just victims. He literally quotes what he said in the 2013 article. Yeah. And then they kind of
said, he goes, the Jews are, it's like I always say, the Jews are mice and the pigs are Polish.
The Gazans are what would the Palestinians be to him? Who knows? But the Palestinians are just they're like ants. They're just disgusting little insects that you could step on. And then he's like, no, I didn't really mean anything by it. It was just...
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say he'd be like, the Palestinians are worms.
The Palestinians are like, actually, I'm going to break the animal thing here, and they're actually like a virus. They're like a weird, like festering pustules.
Yeah.
They're barnacles. They're like these horrible.
Yeah.
But
Did you see the thing with Seinfeld?
But at one point, just real quick, there's one thing in it. Basically, what happens is he goes, "Oh, well, Hamas were no better. They'd be just as bad as the Israelis, given half a chance." And at least Joe Sacco puts it a part where he's like pretty skeptical of that assertion. And then at the end, they go, "Well, what can two cartoonists do? It's up for greater minds to figure that out." And I was just like, "You fucking coward! You've been silent for what, a year and a half. You have nothing to say about this." I can't believe that he's... Anyway, I think, what was it? Harvey Picar had him pegged.
Yeah, there's a mouse.
Yeah, the clip of...
some sort of a mouse. Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld, and the guy's like, what does he say? Like, free Palestine, and then... What does Seinfeld say again?
Seinfeld goes, I don't care for Palestinians, or I don't care about Palestine.
But he's like smiling. He looks like a sicko. He's so fucking weird.
Yeah, he's such a freak. I do love that clip of him on the Late Late Show, though.
Yeah. It's so good. Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, that must have just driven him absolutely insane to have his name said wrong. It's the name of his fucking show. It's like... I know. Like, Parketti, how the hell do you not know?
I know. Do you think they like his stand-up in Israel?
I don't think the Israelis like anything. I think they need to. I'm saying that they would like. They'll be watching and they go, ha, "It's so funny. He's the funniest. He's the funniest guy on the planet, and he's Jewish. He's Jewish, and that's why he's." And they're lit. That's what I don't know if they know whether they like things anymore. I'm pretty sure they don't know. You know,
what's the deal with? You when you get a flight to Israel, what's the deal with the cheese?
Yeah,
that they give you on the flight. You know.
Yeah.
The pilot's coming. The pilot's saying he's like we're cruising at an altitude.
Now, yeah, sorry. I was like, is it cheese some sort of cultural thing? I was imagining some sort of soft cheese, and now you're like, now I'm imagining
we're cruising at an altitude of this. We're going to be descending to the Twin Towers any minute now. I don't tell the pilot what I'm doing. I don't go, I'm eating my cheese off the little wooden board with the nail in it. I don't say that to him, do I?
Yeah.
And he's like, New York's so baffling with the cats.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other mice things. I can't think of it. The only thing I can think of is the movie Mouse Hunt. Just like...
Yeah, I'd be like, that was the most racist fucking shit of all time. Mouse Hunt. I'd like to, eat his cheese, whatever. What happened to Mouse Hunt?
What happened? It came out in 1998, and then it was in cinemas for a while, and then it left.
That's what I think they'd watch and work, Yeah. I was watching Mouse Hunt the other day. It's really good, actually, Funny, like.
It is funny. I don't care what you say. Mouse Hunt's great. Yeah, but yeah.
What about Two Men Out of Mouse?
The idea of like talking about it. Saw something there. A little surreal.
Yeah.
He got up to some crazy... I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, the bit where they're like bowling ball goes down the stairs and hits the guy in the nuts or whatever. Who's in that? Steve Buscemi and
no, Nathan Lane, Lee Evans for some reason.
My new housemate didn't believe that I liked Lee Evans. Couldn't believe it. Thought I was trolling.
I think I like Lee Evans. I think I do.
Come on the pod.
But I'm not. I'm too afraid to admit it. That's my problem. Because I used to love Lee Evans, and then I was like, I remember this is so funny. I'll tell you this because it's just it's one of those that'll go down in the pantheon
Gareth
of things.
Lore.
Do you remember where I read the poem to that guy? It's going to be up there next to that. Not quite as bad, but there used to be a website called iambored.com. Okay.
And
I used to submit clips to that. Okay. and I would get clips of like Lee Evans and just keep sending them in. And then this guy, like they wouldn't put any of them up, and I was getting really frustrated. And then this guy basically just said like, "Stop sending us clips." He's like, we're putting up like fun stuff. It's not just like some fucking shitty stand-up who's on Paramount Comedy all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, and I was like, oh, but he's so funny. He's the funniest guy ever.
Yeah.
I was like getting Lee Evans clips, honestly.
Yeah. Do you remember the Jason Byrne app?
This is before YouTube, by the way.
So what were you doing? Do you have the DVD? And
I have no idea where I got them from. I know that they were sending in like 360p clips of Lee Evans talking about what could he possibly have been talking about? All the strange countries that are at the Olympics.
Does he do that one?
He does do that one. I'm trying to think of one thing that he said that, because the only ones that I can remember are the ones that I didn't find funny and now find embarrassing. What did he do?
What was the website called? I Am Bored.
I think it's gone now.
There's one called Bored button. Go ahead and press the Bored button.
Oh my god, sorry. I typed in I am bored, like one word, and the first thing that came up was Reddit or Snorkblot. It says, IamBored.com refugees. Please visit us at Snorkblot.
What? Reddit/Snorkblot.
Apparently. Do you remember all those websites that used to be around that'd be like, you know, I'm trying to think of one now, but they'd be words like that, like Snorkblot and, you know, Blaster Zone. I don't know what the fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do remember those. And it'd be like, you click and then it'd be like the black guy eating the giant hamburger. Just like, remember that bit? Yeah.
Or like pictures of the one that I remember, I was working in an office and then somebody sent an email and they went like, just to brighten your day. And it was a picture of a boxer, like a boxer dog, wearing the little like Kangol hat and a pair of like glasses. And it was next to a picture of Samuel L. Jackson wearing the same Kangol hat and glasses. And then to be like, don't they like look the same? And I was like, I don't know whether you should be sending this through the work email.
Here's a fresh post from Snorkblot. If we can call a body of water a new name, this is written in like the Gulf of Mexico or America. If we can call a body of water a new name, I feel like we can call trans people by their names and pronouns.
You tell them. Actually, that's good.
Snorkblot, a certified ally to the cause.
I thought it would be more like, I actually thought it would be worse, to be honest. I thought it would be more racist and reactionary or something. I
was like, we can't just change our pronouns. Just that on a white box. Here's another one. It's the flag of America, or it looks like one. But all the stars are logos, corporate logos, and then it has the word sold on it.
That's good. So I guess
one of
they're
those
woke.
ones where it's like, it's like, I don't disagree. You've just managed to find the most boring way of saying it, you know? RFK Jr.'s first statement about disbanding the USAID. There he goes, his uncle, JFK, created the USAID 64 years ago. What a disgrace to his family.
Ha 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 ha. That's a nice funny thing during work I'm looking at, you know.
I'm so bored. I'm glad I've been radicalized towards the center somehow.
RFK Jr., I mean, like, can we just say this again? I mean, and I'm repeating myself. They now have effectively a minister for health that has a worm in his brain.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, it's just crazy to me. They're like, his voice sounds like shit. He
Yeah.
what is it?
He's warming his brain.
He's warming his brain, and he doesn't believe in like vaccines or anything. And he's like, we need to get rid of vaccines because they're unhealthy. I was like, you're dying. Like, I don't know how you managed to live.
He doesn't believe in anything. Like, see the thing where he was like, we should, anyone who's on any sort of like antidepressant or anything, we should take them off them and send them into the field to work.
Well, fix
It's like,
it.
Like, do you believe in any medicine?
Did you see when he said that that COVID was designed in a lab to target black people and skip Chinese people?
COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
DEI includes. That's a boring one. Snork block has gone downhill, if I'm being honest.
Somebody said that.
No, I've said
I thought you were like, this website used to be cool. Some of the diehard snork blocks.
Yeah. Like this, if you want to go back to the old snork block fandom community. That's what the top is all time. Why do they just name snork block? And they're quietly quiet on Israel. I've noticed.
I told you that I'm in a group chat. It's called it's called Messy Writers, okay? And it's about opportunities and stuff that are happening, you know. So anyway, this person, David Lynch, died, and then somebody put in the chat like, "Oh, R.I.P. David Lynch. I really loved all of his stuff, you know." And then this person goes, "Wow, seen a lot of love for Davy Lynch and nobody talking about Palestine. Okay, great." And then somebody was just kind of going like, I think people can care about more than one thing, and this is a writing group, so you could we can mourn the death of this man. And they were like, and it was entirely within your power this whole time to talk about Palestine if you wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
And
there's
it was
no
like
barrier for entry.
just a perfect response. And they were like, okay, wow, I was just pointing out, and they got all hostile. And then this person goes in like, speaking as a Palestinian, I do think that this person was trying to point, and I was like, game over. Now this person is like right all of a sudden because this person who's Palestinian has come in to back them up, even though I think it's perfectly reasonable to have R.I.P. David Lynch and to not be, I don't know, scolded about Gaza.
Yeah, you're allowed to talk about other things.
Yeah. Having said that, I do, you Gaza is so on my mind that when somebody goes, "Oh, you're not talking about it," you're like, "Fuck, I'm not talking about it." You know what I mean?
Yeah. The top post of all time is, I'll just send it to you. I send it to you like you're like an uncle, mate, I
was looking up the old websites I used to go to, neatorama.com.
I don't remember that one.
Ailblog.org. iconhascheeseburger.com or something like that was.
That was a big one. That's still going.
I have no idea. You know what the Brian Quimby's podcast, Guys, they talk about chive guys. You remember the chive? But anyway, that type of humor where it's like, you, sir, have won the internet. Where they have Bill Murray challenge coins and stuff like that.
I used to look at the oatmeal.
Oh, God, I hated that website. You're like, fuck you. You went to neatorama.com and you see fit to judge me.
Let's see. Let's go to the oatmeal.
I just hate your man's style. It just drives me crazy. He makes he's on your Kickstarter sucks all the time because he's always making a load of money off of his board games on Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
And what's the other one? He has a Netflix show. I can't believe he's got a Netflix show.
Does he?
An Exploding Kittens Netflix show. That was released in... Guess when it was released? I hope you're not looking at it.
No.
When do you think an Exploding Kittens animated TV series is released?
I'm very good about guessing things.
Okay.
2023.
Oh, so close. 2024.
Really?
Last year.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The game was released like when? Like 10 years ago.
So, I just saw the thing you said. Sorry. James just said, thought you'd get a kick out of this laughy face. And it's a picture of Trump. And he's pissing into a fan that's going back on his face. And it says, how tariffs work.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the fan has a Canadian, like a maple leaf on the side of it.
Yeah.
There's been some very funny stuff of, you know, when people who are like, Trump is just treating like little complete bitches, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're going like, bet you didn't expect this from Justin Trudeau. And it's like, Trump doesn't give a shit, doesn't care. There was a few articles where they're talking about like, it was Shane Ross talking about our trip to, like, how essential it was that we go to America to shake Trump's hand. Let me get this one up though.
Shane Ross was saying that.
Yeah, here's the headline. Love bombing the lion in the Oval Office den, not a job for the faint-hearted.
Shane Ross looks like Tom Baker, but like worse.
We were looking at pictures of present-day Tom Baker, and it was because it depresses me, and that's what Shane Ross looks like. And he's not. He doesn't have the excuse of being 100 years old.
No, he's Shane Ross is so mental when you hear his voice. I've said it before, but
Is he British? Is he?
he's really posh. I think he's Irish.
Oh, you know Declan Ganley, and you hear his voice, and he's Brit, and you're just like, what the fuck? What are you doing over here? Stop meddling in our affairs.
He's had such a mad, maybe not all that mad, but he's such a weird life trajectory where he's like a stockbroker or something.
Mm.
And then he ran for then he was a journalist, then he ran for the Dáil, got in.
Mm.
And then his books, he wrote one of the bankers, the builders. He just wrote one about Mary Lou for some reason.
Yeah, Mary Lou bought a house. Suspicious.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, all the people in the Irish Independent were like, can you give us something more, please? God, we hate her. We'd love to dive in. And all they can do is talk about like her reaction to it, which is funny.
Yeah, they're always like, she didn't have the funds to buy the house.
Mm.
It's like, well, she was married and you couldn't get a mortgage. You know what I mean?
I'd say she made pretty decent money in her job, regardless. Like, it doesn't strike me as particularly odd that she owns a house in Cabra. I don't think like, oh, she must have gotten it from American, terrorist supporters.
And I think he's a new one coming out soon, which I can't wait for.
I want to try and find this line in the article where he was basically speculating of like, this must have really pissed Trump off. And I was like, Trump doesn't think about you at all. You know? Like,
Trump hasn't even invited us yet.
No, I don't think so.
So
trying to keep the encounter.
He's not thinking too much about it.
But yeah, everybody's just preparing. They're just like, this is going to happen and it's necessary and it's good. And you just kind of this thing where it's like, you talk about it, like you literally talk about him nonstop as he's Hitler. He's working with Putin. He's a fascist. He's the most evil person on the planet. He's crazy. He's mental. He's going to take away, he's going to do all this. And then they go, but we have to go over and shake his hand. We have to go over and smile and hand him a bowl of shamrocks. And then you go like, do you not feel like pathetic? No, you don't understand. What I'm doing is really brave. It's incredibly brave for me to go over.
It's actually brave to do the thing that you've lived your life for. Like the one reason you became Taoiseach. That's brave. I am looking forward to it. Like, you shouldn't go. Obviously, you shouldn't. I feel like Micheál Martin would try to say something. Like, I'm not saying meaningful, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying he'll be like, remember when people were like, Varadkar, like, read the riot act to Trump? And
Yeah.
Varadkar was like, we Irish understand what it's like to be victimized. Like
was that
certain
with
other people.
Biden last year?
Yeah, sorry, it was
Yeah.
a Biden. It was like, we understand what it's like to be victimized, like certain other people.
He did
And
it. There was
Biden
another
was
one.
like,
There was a
What?
part where he quoted something and he was like, those were the words of a certain Beau Biden, you know? And then Biden started like crying. And then I was like, you know, you look at it and you go, well, that's just because he just remembered that his son is dead. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think Micheál Martin won't go that far even, you know, but
Say, I know this is lame, but I was like imagining him saying something in Irish and then Trump going, what? What the fuck did you say? Do you
yeah.
want to come here and say that to me again? Yeah. Louder.
Like, no matter what he says, Trump will just be like, that was weird. Anyway.
Yeah. There's a great one, sorry, where Starmer had this thing. It was like, well, I'm meeting with President Trump to talk about some serious issues, blah, 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 ongoing. And then they asked Trump and they go like, are you meeting with Starmer next week? And he's like, yeah. And then they go like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't know. He organized it. It was so funny. It was just like, you know, their whole like diplomacy and how
Yeah.
seriously they take it, where like they're going, oh yeah, but so they, I mean, I guess this is kind of the line. It might be the closest I'll find to. It's a very wordy, long article, but he goes, last week, Micheál Martin anxiously but hopefully prematurely accepted an invitation to the bash from Trump, an invitation that hadn't even been sent. Such craven beggary must be humiliating for the Taoiseach. He risked a rebuff. Trump may wish to teach Ireland a lesson for what he sees as our recent anti-Israel stance. You know, like, Trump doesn't think about you at all. He doesn't
Yeah.
think about you at all.
No. It'd be like Trump when I think when Trump was first elected, and there was that whole thing about how Trump used to shake people's hands and he'd like pull them.
Yeah.
And then it'd be clips and, you know, and like Macron and all that. And then Enda Kenny had like prepared for it. And he like didn't move. He didn't get pulled, you know? Like no one noticed. Like I noticed because someone who likes Fine Gael said it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, no one was like, do you remember when Enda Kenny owned Trump?
I actually honestly saw a picture of Enda Kenny with Trump, and I was like, was he Taoiseach by that time? I always thought it was Brad. I never
know,
realized
it's weird,
he even
isn't
met
it?
Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's gonna go over and he's gonna have a great time.
Micheál Martin.
Yeah.
I imagine it'll be like real kind of. It's one of those awful. This is fine, actually. That's what it is. That's what it is. Every single time he goes over, like I know he's excited and delighted to go over and meet the president, but there must be a point where you're like looking at Joe Biden and you're just thinking like, fuck, I wish this was Obama or something, you know? And then when you're looking at Trump and you're like, I don't have this many years left and I don't know how long I'm going to be in this job. And you're one of the last guys I'm going to talk to. Not like not Bill Clinton, not even fucking George Bush.
Yeah.
You know?
So I also could just imagine them having a good time. You know what I mean? Like,
No, Trump would hate him. Trump would fucking hate him.
well, so here's what'll happen is that, you know, Biden will immediately just start Micheál Martin will start sucking up immediately.
Yeah.
And then Trump will like him because he's so weak.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
there's
And then
something
they have like a bit of crack. And like, Trump will do the thing where he's like, do you remember where he has the button that brings Diet Coke?
Yeah.
And then Micheál Martin will be like, whoa, that's amazing.
It's incredible now. I just push the button and I should get something like that myself installed. And they bring up They brought up I was about to do like say kale smoothie, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not indulging with your completely fat, because like a bunch of the articles I read were like talking about, and maybe he might have himself a bit of a fucking he'll health drink or something, and you're just like, no, fuck you. You're fat. You fabricated something here. You've made something up because this guy has nothing. Like most Irish politicians, he's got no interior life whatsoever. Okay, so you need to be like, oh, I'm a bit of a health nut. Oh, I've got an action figure collection, and you look at it, and it's like what, 2 Funko Pops, and then some things that came with the Happy Meal. It's like, this is so made up. This is such a fucking, it's such a joke.
Yeah. Radker was the healthy one.
Yeah, he was the healthy one.
You know, that weird meal prep thing, you know.
We spent so many, like, I wouldn't say hours, probably not hours, but days. A long amount of time talking about the things that Radker eats. It's disgusting. Radker wrote an article actually again in the Times UK where he's like, yeah, we need to get rid of the triple lock, and neutrality is bullshit. And then I was like reading it, I was like, oh, let me get some classic Radker flavor. And I was like, no, everybody's got their marching orders. They know exactly what to say. They're saying the exact same thing. We're not pulling our weight. We need to get in the fray. The world is a dark and horrible place. And it's just that, it's like everybody saying the exact same thing, copy and paste. So not even Radker, he's like, yeah, whatever.
I saw 2 things. They're all trying to get rid of the triple lock. Remember last week we were talking about how there's like, it's seen as an investment opportunity.
Yeah.
And apparently there's like one of the big lobby firms has taken on like military manufacturers as clients. Like Irish firms lobbying the Irish government on behalf of military contract. And then the other thing was that there's a VR company based in Ireland that does like military training. And they get like, you know, so it's like you put on the goggles and you're flying a helicopter or something.
Mm-hmm.
And some of their clients are like the IDF and the American military. So like the money is coming, you know what I mean? Or like the money is there. Yeah. And the motivation is there, you know?
Yeah, they're real gung-ho on it. And then you kind of like, you sent a great article. I was surprised because the Irish Examiner put out like, the Irish Examiner view was that we should invest more in defence and really reconsider the triple lock. And I was like, fuck you. But then there was an article that they published, The Push to Undermine Ireland's Neutrality Faces Public Opposition, written by Patrick Bresnahan. Patrick Bresnahan, Patrick Brody, and Rory Rowan. And it was just really put it perfectly, the whole argument. I'd highly recommend reading it. But there was one paragraph in particular that I was like, I quite liked. Is it long?
Should we just read it?
You were the one who sent it to me. Did you not read it?
I did. I just can't remember how long it was.
It is long.
Okay.
We told the decision makers in London, Brussels, and Washington baffled. Sorry, where was this? I really should have made a mention of this. I
think it is amazing how like uniform the arguments are. All the arguments here are, we need to pull our weight.
Yeah.
We're a sitting duck, and Europe are getting tired of it.
Yeah.
You know? And to them I'd say, you don't need to pull your weight. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is, what was the second thing I said? We're sitting duck.
I remember one of them was that Europe is getting tired of us, and it's
like we paid the bailout. You know what I mean? Like we paid off like so much of Europe's debt.
Yeah.
You know? Like we've done enough for the minute.
Yeah.
Like we paid off a huge, like way more than we took debt wise. So maybe send a fucking drone to look after it.
Yeah.
And the off chance anything ever happens.
Here it is. Here's the kind of section I was looking at. I thought was interesting. Rather
The
than
other thing is
willingly,
we're not a sitting duck. Because, like, if Ireland gets invaded,
Mm.
and, like, England knew this, and France and Spain, they all know this. It's like, they have a investment in making sure Ireland's not taken. Because, say Russia takes us,
Mm.
it's like, that allows them to, like, pincer Europe. You know, like, it's
Yeah.
such a prime geographic point to launch from.
It's all just fucking bullshit as well. It's this idea
I know it's bullshit, but like, even in terms of that argument, it's like England wouldn't let us get taken over because they don't want their enemy right next to them,
yeah.
you know?
But also, yeah, I mean, it's easy to overlook the benefits of neutrality. Well, not easy. It's conscious effort. Like, it was a principled stand to take, and it does make you. It actually makes you more powerful on the world stage, but obviously they don't like it because nobody dies, and that's a bit of crack. And I'm not at the room. And also, like you pointed out, there's not a chance. There's not an opportunity for money. But also relating to that is this section of the article, which I will read. Rather than willingly embrace a future of escalating insecurity and conflict as inevitable, Ireland's political leaders should be asking more pertinent questions. Why are Russian submarines interested in cables on Ireland's seafloor in the first place? What is Ireland's economic dependence on US tech exposing us to? And with US tech companies providing cloud partnerships for Israel's AI targeting systems in Gaza, is complicity in genocide a moral cost we are willing to pay for economic dependency? For many mainstream commentators, deepening Ireland's dependency on the US and Europe, including via security pacts, serves to protect Irish interests, but whose interests are being protected by attacks on neutrality? Undermining neutrality is not only about revising Ireland's role in the world system, but locking the country into alliances with actors content to destabilise the world for their economic and geopolitical interests at any cost. Becoming an infrastructural node, provisioning the economic and security interests of the US and EU means that Ireland may in fact become a target for their geopolitical rivals, Russia and China, and hence require protection. That would also demand a greater percentage of Irish revenues flowing from social security to national security, as these commentators are quick to advise. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing where it's like, you know, we're cozying up to these things, which makes it more likely for us to be invaded.
And the thing as well is, like, they talk about those cables, you know, the information cables running off Ireland across the Atlantic. It's like, they're not ours.
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't own them.
Yeah.
And, like, we don't own, like, the security companies that are based here. We don't own the information that flows through Ireland. So, like, why do we have to protect it? You know what I mean? Like, they're not my cables.
I
So,
know.
like, the guy who owns the cables should do the protecting.
Yeah.
It's not my problem.
In Vradker's article as well, he was bringing, oh no, we've seen, he's like, things have changed now. He was like, now there's like cyber attacks. I was like, well, no, we've had cyber attacks for at least, do you know what I mean? Like, cyber attacks have been something that could happen for decades. It's not a new thing that happened in 2021 just because of Ukraine. And by the way, look at what's happening with Ukraine now and be like, yeah, we're all behind you, everybody. Let's get all this money together. Ukraine's going to take the whole region. It's like, yeah, we're winding that down. And actually, we're going to take your minerals as well, because fucking, you took all our money to lose a war. We don't want to be losers. It's like, this is so crazy. But
I saw a guy on Channel 4 News. He was talking about Ukraine and Russia. And the other way, Zelensky, at the minute, it's Trump and Putin who are going to be negotiating any deal.
So that was so funny. Sorry.
And then Zelensky was like, well, we're just not going to accept it if we're not part of the deal. And then, anyway, they were talking to this like European security expert, and he was like, well, Ukraine are going to have to accept it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, we're going to stop giving them bullets.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Imagine that, like, and this is a position that these people want. They want somebody. They want the United. Like, please let the United States put a gun to my fucking head. Okay, you know, like, actually, the United States this whole time has been like, I've got a gun at your head. Just do what I say. And then the Irish government are just putting their mouth around the barrel and like, put it all the way in. But like. Riker as well, like he in that article, he said like he was like, yeah, and we have to protect our like underwater infrastructure. So like he was talking about like gas pipelines. I was like, do we have gas pipelines? It was like, oh, we have to protect the LNG terminals that we don't actually have. And I was like, okay, cool. But then he was like, they were like, so we need to do that by joining the United States. I was like, the United States blew up Nord Stream. Like, I mean, you know, what are you talking about? Every time they talk about something, they're like, like Russia could do all of this stuff that we know for 100% certainty the United States does constantly, even to people that were allies with them like a few years ago. Not like we're going to be like Gaddafi or anything, but like it's just very funny that they it's really
Nord Stream, it ran from Russia to Germany.
Yeah.
Am I right? Was how Germany got like a load of their gas.
Yeah.
And that obviously affects Germany's
cost of
foreign
living
policy. Well, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to escalate a war with the guys supplying you gas.
Yeah.
So then America are just like, okay, we're going to solve that. We'll just blow up the pipe. We'll just fuck Germany, so then they've no trouble escalating the war.
And they were like, yeah, actually Russia did that. And then Germany were like, I mean, it doesn't really feel like they did. It's like, yeah, no, they did. They did.
And then
Germany were like, okay, all right.
And then America came out and said it didn't matter who did it. It's been done.
The way Matt Christman said, he was like, here's how you know we did it. Because if Russia did it, we'd never stop fucking talking about it. You know what I mean? Because that's what happened. They were going, yeah, Russia did it, and we'll have no more of that. It was like an item in the news for a week.
Yeah.
The idea that like all these like gas prices are going up, and you're coming into this like war with we're all in on it until the president changes in a year, and then fuck it.
Something else get out. It was around that time that America were like, also there are aliens.
Yeah, I love when they do that. Yeah,
they were like, and here's a soldier talking about aliens. He said he saw one. So why do you look over there for a while?
I love when they do that. The tactical release of like alien stuff, where it's just like, I don't know. I'm presuming that 1 in 10 people is a fucking psycho. Who like sees weird colors in the sky and then is like, no, I swear to God, I saw it. Like the same people, or the military guy, and he said he saw aliens, and also he says that Havana syndrome is real, and they actually developed a dish that made him sick. You remember that? The rays that make you sick. It's like, I don't know whether this is
believe
stupid.
In aliens, though.
I do believe in aliens.
Do you believe
I believe in like Roswell aliens? Probably not.
Yeah, I think I do. And you might say, why don't they come anymore? But why
doesn't Jesus come anymore, huh?
Well, in the 80s, we were always going looking at gorillas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't do that anymore. So it was like a fad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like they had a moment where they were like visiting Earth and just seeing what was going on, and then they're like, there's not actually that much happening. It's kind of boring.
Yeah, you're just hanging out like. There's one alien who stays, like Jane Goodall. And his name is Elon freaking Musk. Alf. His name is Alf the Alien.
His name is Alan Strange, the famous show from 1998. 1998 getting a real shout out this episode. Mouse Hunt, Alan Strange.
Yeah.
Although I think Mouse Hunt was 97. Let me check.
What would you do if you met an alien?
I was trying to think, I'm looking at one right now. Or fucking, what would go to freaking Leinster House?
Yeah,
By the way,
earlier you said you go to Athlone, just outside Athlone.
there was another thing today. This is such a stupid aside, but did you see there's a picture they have of Michael Lowry is parking his Audi on the bike stand that cost like $350?
No.
So there's a picture of it, and you just see the car, and there's no bikes. It's just his fucking car like wedged in on top of the thing.
That's so funny.
Anyway, because I was like, Michael Lowry's like an alien, and it's like, no, he's not really.
Yeah. So
alien,
really,
like Barry Heenan. Anyway, sorry, go on. Yeah.
that is a good point in the paragraph where it's like we are just like we're setting up ourselves as like a node of Western
Yeah.
like cyber stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the paragraph put it more eloquently than that, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
it's because like
true.
Riker's going like, he's like, well, we have to invest more in defense because of the increase of cyber attacks. And I was like, yeah, because you are like a conduit for all of this imperial tech shit. You know?
Yeah. You know, Gaeilge has this thing where he's like, I've been watching a lot of clips of him, and he talks about this thing of like 2 types of parenting, you know? And you have the traditional style, and it's like, dad comes to you and he goes, you have to go to your granny's house. And if you don't, I'll beat the hell out of you. But you're going. Like, that's just the end of the matter. And then it's the modern parent, and he comes to you and he goes, don't you want to go to your granny's house? Like, you should love your granny, and you should want to go. And he says that style is worse. Because at least in the original one, you had the freedom to be angry. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't want to go, and you could just moan and, like, be internally angry. Whereas in the second one, they're making you feel guilty because you don't feel something.
Yeah.
Whenever I read the thing like Varadkar's thing, it makes me so angry because he's like, you should want all this tech stuff here.
Yeah.
And like, you should want to protect it,
Yeah.
you know? As opposed to if he was like, this is happening whether you like it or not. At least you could like, you know, give people a reason to protest. Whereas I think it really is just quite a successful way of making people feel like they should want to protect the the cables or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's very manipulative.
Yeah.
I think most of the, I mean, the article as well also points out, at least, you know, a lot of the opinion polls that are carried out is people in Ireland like really like neutrality and do not want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And they were pointing out that like if you were to read the columns and you know, the articles, you'd believe that the exact opposite was true.
Yeah.
Because that's all they fucking talk about. And they're determined to do it. And yeah, actually, I want to, like, this is a bad form thing to do, but I wanted to read this tweet that somebody posted.
Yeah. But it's like with the church, at least with the church, you know, they were like, you got whatever they were talking about. It's like, you got to do this, or you'll go to hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you could at least weigh it up. You could be like, well, I don't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
Well, do whatever. Go to
No, I mean,
mass.
I'm just trying to get into the mindset of somebody who wants to go to war. I don't like that one where Keir Starmer, he's like, yeah, we're going to send troops over there. I was like, why do you want to send people over? You know that they're going to get killed and nothing is going to happen. You know this now. We all know this. And it's like, yeah, but I just want them to die, you know?
Yeah. But
then-
like, you know, he's not, obviously, he's not envisioning himself as a soldier.
No, he's not. No.
He's envisioning himself as making money out of it.
But also these people like live in hell because they also think that they're terrified of all of this shit. They actually genuinely do think that this stuff is going to happen. And that's why we need to invest, you know? Maybe it's the guilt. I think it's the misplaced guilt of they're the ones who are like creaming it off the top of this, you know? And like, they just kind of have this thing like the other shoe is going to drop. And by other shoe, I mean a bomb on my head, probably. For all of the horrible, disgusting opinions I have where I think that the scroats should be killed in the streets. You know?
Yeah. And then there's a dimension as well of like, say the president of America, right? He doesn't believe any of this. He doesn't really need to. You know? It's either way, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether the Pope is a Catholic. You know?
Yeah.
Anyone can be the Pope, and he can think whatever he likes. He just has to make decisions, you know? For his own benefit. So like Trump is like, I'd like a war for this reason, you know?
Yeah.
And then the way like power is spread across the West, like England and Ireland and Europe, we're all under Trump for the most part. We have to, like the leaders of Ireland, Micheál Martin, he has to believe it because it's happening. So he's like, oh, well, I better believe it.
I don't think he likes it. I think that there's a part of them as well where like, I knew a guy and he used to be in Fine Gael, but when he was a teenager, or liked them anyway. And he drew in his notebook, like soldiers, but like Irish soldiers, and they get the military, and it's just the same picture, the same guy again and again, and people in different ranks, and it's like, well, there's one of this guy, and there's three of this guy, and then they have the flag here, and it's got this braid here, and it was just that again and again and again and again. And then another person I think about as well is Charlie Flanagan. When in Kilkenny, he just kept like making all of these statues for like, you know, the uniformed officers who died, the uniformed officers. There's all this kind of like pageantry that is just completely ingrained. And I think that part of it motivates him as well. I think that he does actually get off on an aspect of militarism.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think they're both autistic in the same way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the same with Micheál Martin, though. I do think that with Micheál Martin, like I think that there's a part of it where, and like he's, you know, because he's a teacher and he's so fucking like there's something teachery about it, you know.
But I don't think you would get that sort of personality in the Oval Office.
Oh no! Well, currently.
Ever.
Not anymore either, probably.
Because they're the ones, like, just doing it. You know?
I think
like everything
Eisenhower.
is beneath them. Yeah. Eisenhower's, yeah. Even then, I'd say, I don't think they believe in the same way. Like, I'm not saying...
No, they don't. Present day, I don't think they believe in the same way that they did before.
No.
But, I think there was at that moment in time with World War II and stuff where it's like the whole world is at war and all of it's being carved up and there's nation states being formed and disappearing and, you know, whatever. So I think that there is a kind of like a risk element to it where you're moving pieces around on it and it's kind of fun and I get to put on a uniform and I get this type of stuff and then it kind of just becomes, I don't know, second nature. You don't really question it anymore. It just is normal. It's just we're always going to be at war. And I saw something funny today. We should probably stick on Micheál Martin, even though this is something I read. What am I doing? Sorry, bouncing around.
Read the tweet.
Now I don't really need to read the tweet because we already said it. It was just this guy and he made this joke. So that's the reason I didn't want to quote it, because I'm like, you shouldn't just read a funny thing that you saw on Twitter.
I'd do it anyway.
Fucking do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. Tristan Ross says, brackets, waking up in my 5-bedroom Knightsbridge townhouse, brewing a nice pot of coffee, booting up my computer and tapping out today's column. And then it goes, I want the world to be plunged into total war once more. I want food shortages and mechanized death. I want a bomb to fall on my head. You know? I'm just thinking about when the columnists and these people who are like trying to do this and ratchet this up and make this happen, and it's just like betraying a darkness in their hearts, essentially. And I was wondering where it came from. And I speculated already. But anyway, now they're like, nah, he has to go over and he has to shake hands with Trump and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we should talk about the Micheál Martin, all the shit that he got up to last week. He got up to a load of shit last week.
Give me 1 sec.
Actually, wait, and yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, yeah, no, the military thing. I need to bring up is Zainab's citizenship ceremony.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to turn on the heat.
Go for it.
That's the end of the free bit. Go to patreon.com/CelticLigers to hear the rest, where Jim O'Callaghan is a dullwinker, Micheál Martin being a smug prick os Gaeilge, the government's bold new proposal of solving the housing crisis by giving money to the private sector, Dublin City Council's outright war against AirBnB lockboxes, and Pat Leahy of the Irish Times continues to waste precious resources committing nothing of import to print.